I need to tell you something that is going to make you uncomfortable, especially if you just signed a check for a brand new RAV4 or put a deposit down on a Highlander. There are 3 SUVs sitting on used car lots right now, collecting dust, that will mechanically outlast what you just bought. They cost half as much, some of them less than half. These are not project cars, not fixer-uppers that look good on paper, but nickel and dime you in the shop. I am talking about SUVs with perfect or near-perfect reliability scores, maintenance costs so low they make Toyota look expensive, and used prices that are honestly insulting to how good these vehicles actually are. The only reason they are cheap is because the average buyer never bothers to look past the badge on the hood. After more than 22 years of turning wrenches, I have watched this pattern repeat itself hundreds of times. Someone walks into the shop asking me to inspect a Toyota they are about to overpay for, and I ask them one question: have you considered anything else? The answer is almost always no. Toyota is reliable. Everyone knows that. End of conversation. But here is the thing nobody says out loud. Toyota is not the most reliable brand anymore. According to Consumer Reports, Mazda holds that title. And according to RepairPal, the SUV with the single best reliability rating in the entire mid-size class is not made by Toyota, Honda, or Lexus. It is made by a brand most people write off before they even sit in one. I am going to walk you through all 3 of these SUVs today. I am going to give you the real repair costs from my shop, the real reliability data, and the real used market prices so you can see exactly how much money you are leaving on the table. I am going deepest on the last one because that is the vehicle that changed how I recommend SUVs to my customers. 3 years of data, 7 vehicles through my shop, and not a single major repair. Let's get into it. About 8 months ago, a couple came in with 2 kids and a third on the way. They were locked in on a 2020 Toyota Highlander. They found one with 74,000 miles for $27,500. I looked the vehicle over and it was fine. Highlanders are solid, but I could tell they were stretching their budget, so I asked if they had considered a Mazda CX-9. They looked at me like I had just made that name up. See, this is the problem. Mazda built one of the most reliable 3-row SUVs on the planet with the second-generation CX-9 from 2016 to 2023, and almost nobody cross-shops it against the Highlander because Mazda does not spend billions on advertising telling you to. So I pulled up a listing on my phone. 2020 CX-9 Grand Touring, 62,000 miles, $19,400. Same number of seats as the Highlander, nicer interior materials at that trim level, and $8,000 cheaper. They bought the CX-9. 7 months later, total repair cost outside of oil changes and a tire rotation: $0. Here is why the CX-9 is one of the best-kept secrets in the SUV market. The 2.5-liter Skyactiv G Turbo 4 in these is not the kind of turbocharged engine that keeps mechanics busy. Mazda engineered it with a dynamic pressure system, a cooled exhaust gas recirculation circuit, and a compression ratio that lets it run cleaner and cooler than most turbo engines on the road. In plain English, this thing was designed from the ground up to last. It also runs on regular unleaded, not premium, which saves you another $300 to $400 a year depending on how much you drive. The transmission is a traditional 6-speed automatic, not a CVT that can slip, not a dual clutch that can shudder. A proven torque converter unit that Mazda refined over more than a decade. It shifts smooth, it holds up, and when it eventually needs a fluid change, you are looking at about $180, not $800. RepairPal ranks the CX-9 first out of 14 full-size SUVs for reliability. First, the average annual repair and maintenance cost is $539 compared to $784 for the full-size SUV segment average, and the probability of a major repair is just 10% compared to 15% for the class. These are not marketing claims. These are numbers pulled from millions of real repair invoices across real shops. Now compare that to buying new off a Toyota lot. A 2026 Grand Highlander starts at over $43,000. Even a base Highlander pushes $40,000. You are paying double what a clean used CX-9 costs for a vehicle that is not statistically more reliable. It is just more familiar. When you go to look at one of these, pull the oil fill cap and check for sludge or milky residue. The turbo demands clean oil. If the previous owner skipped changes, walk away. Test the infotainment commander knob on the 2016 to 2018 models because some had lag issues. Easy $250 fix, but a good negotiating point. And do yourself a favor, take it on a winding road. The CX-9 handles. Unlike any three-row SUV you have ever driven, Mazda's engineers are obsessed with driving feel, and if it does not feel connected and responsive, something is off with that particular vehicle. The only real downsides? Towing capacity tops out at 3,500 pounds, no hybrid option was ever offered, and Mazda discontinued the CX-9 in 2023 to make room for the CX-90. Parts will remain available for years, but if that makes you uneasy, I understand. For everyone else, you are getting a premium three-row family hauler with the best reliability in its class for $8,000 to $10,000 less than a Highlander. The only tax you pay is swallowing your pride and telling your neighbor you bought a Mazda. Now, if the CX-9 is overlooked, the next SUV I want to tell you about is borderline invisible. It shares its engine with one of the most popular SUVs in America, rides on the same platform, and costs thousands less because the average buyer forgets it exists the moment they leave the dealership. I am talking about the Honda Passport. About a year ago, a retired firefighter in his late 50s came in looking for something reliable for road trips. He was locked in on a Honda Pilot, and he found a 2021 with 55,000 miles for $27,000. I asked him one question: do you need a third row? His kids were grown. It was just him and his wife. He did not need the extra seats. So I pointed him toward a 2021 Passport XL with 48,000 miles for $21,500. Leather seats, heated seats, power liftgate, all-wheel drive. Same engine as the Pilot he was about to buy. $5,000 less. He bought the Passport. Last time we talked, he had put on another 40,000 miles with zero repairs outside of routine maintenance. His exact words were, "This thing drives like it did the day I bought it." The Passport runs Honda's legendary 3.5-liter J35 V6. This is the same engine family that powers the Pilot, the Ridgeline, and the Odyssey minivan. It is one of the most proven power plants in the entire industry. No turbocharger to fail. No direct injection carbon buildup issues. It uses a timing belt you replace around 100,000 miles for $700 to $900, and then it goes another 100,000 miles without complaint. I have personally seen J35 engines north of 280,000 miles still running strong. The 9-speed automatic in the 2019 and newer Passport is the refined version of the ZF-sourced unit Honda debugged after the early pilot years. By the time the Passport launched, this transmission was smooth, predictable, and proven. It is not the same problematic gearbox from the 2016 Pilot that gave Honda headaches. RepairPal gives the Passport a 4.5 out of 5 reliability rating and ranks it first out of 29 compact SUVs. Annual maintenance runs about $430 compared to $573 for the segment average. You are saving real money every year you own this thing. Pricing is where your jaw should drop. A 2020 Passport with 70,000 miles runs $18,000 to $22,000 depending on trim and condition. A brand new 2026 RAV4 starts at almost $32,000, and that comes with a 2.5-liter four-cylinder making 203 horsepower. The Passport has a 3.5-liter V6 making 280 horsepower. More power, more space, a proven platform for potentially $10,000 less. The math is not close. When you inspect one, take it to a parking lot and run the all-wheel drive system through full lock circles in both directions. Listen for clicking or grinding. Check the transmission fluid. If it is dark brown or smells burnt, the previous owner neglected it, and you should negotiate $220 off for a fluid change. Look underneath for subframe corrosion, especially on vehicles from northern states. Honda has had occasional rust issues on some models, and a clean underside tells you a lot about how the vehicle was cared for. Who should skip this one? If you need a third row, get the Pilot. If fuel economy is your top priority, 22 combined miles per gallon is fair for a V6 SUV, but is not hybrid territory. And if you want a flashy interior with the latest tech, the 2019 to 2022 models have functional but dated infotainment. You are not buying the Passport for its touchscreen. You are buying it for the drivetrain, and that drivetrain is worth every dollar. Buy a 2020 Passport for $19,000. Drive it 150,000 miles. Spend maybe $3,200 on maintenance, including the timing belt service. Your cost per mile works out to roughly 15 cents. Try getting that from anything sitting on a new car lot today. All right, now I need to talk about the SUV that actually shocked me. And I do not shock easily after 22 years in this business. When I first pulled the reliability data on this vehicle, I genuinely thought the numbers were wrong. I ran them again. I checked different sources. Then I started putting customers into them and watching what happened over 3 years. The results are not just good, they are unprecedented. If this kind of honest advice is saving you money, hit subscribe. I have more of these coming, and they are going to change how you shop. The vehicle is the Buick Envision. Yeah, Buick. I already know what is happening in your head right now. You are picturing your grandfather's sedan. You are thinking of a brand your parents wrote off 20 years ago. You are reaching for the back button. Do not. Because what I am about to show you is the single biggest disconnect between data and price in the entire used SUV market. 3 years ago, a woman in her late 30s brought a 2021 Envision Avenir into my shop for its first oil change. She bought it on the recommendation of her father-in-law, a retired GM engineer who called it the best-kept secret in the industry. I was skeptical. I had never worked on one. Since that day, I have serviced 7 Envisions. You want to know how many came in for anything beyond oil changes, brake pads, and tires? 0. Not one unscheduled repair across 7 vehicles over 3 years. I started tracking it after the 3rd one because I thought I was imagining things. So I pulled the data, and the data confirmed what my shop was already telling me. RepairPal gives the Buick Envision a perfect 5 out of 5 reliability rating. Perfect. It ranks first out of 32 midsize SUVs. Not top 5, not top 3, first. The average annual maintenance and repair cost is $318 a year. I am going to say that again because it sounds fake. $318 a year. The mid-size SUV average is $494. The all-vehicle average is $591. The Envision costs roughly half what the typical SUV costs to keep on the road. But the number that really sets this thing apart is the unscheduled repair frequency. Envision owners bring their vehicles in for unexpected work an average of 0.2 times per year. That means the typical owner goes 5 full years between surprise visits to the mechanic. The midsize SUV average is 1.0 times per year, 5 times more often. And when an Envision does need a repair, there is only a 5% chance it is something serious, compared to 14% for the class. Read those numbers one more time and let them actually register. Then go look at what Toyota charges you for a brand new RAV4. The second generation Envision, starting in 2021, runs GMS 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 228 horsepower, mated to a 9-speed automatic. This is the same engine family GM put in millions of vehicles across Chevrolet, Cadillac, and Buick. It has been refined to the point of being nearly unkillable. It runs on regular unleaded. All-wheel drive is standard across every single trim. You do not pay extra for it. Now the pricing, and this is where the whole thing becomes almost comical. A 2022 Envision Preferred with 40,000 miles is selling for $19,000 to $22,000. That vehicle had an original MSRP north of $36,000. That is 40 to 47% depreciation in 3 to 4 years on a vehicle with a perfect reliability score. Meanwhile, a 2022 RAV 4XLE with similar mileage is still commanding $24,000 to $27,000, backed by a lower reliability rating and higher annual repair costs. A brand new 2026 RAV4 starts at almost $32,000. A new Highlander exceeds $40,000. You could buy a used Envision for $20,000 and own a vehicle that statistically costs less to maintain, breaks down less frequently, and has a lower probability of major repairs than either of those Toyotas purchased brand new off the showroom floor. That is not my opinion. That is the data from millions of repair invoices saying the same thing. And the interior, this is what kills me. The Envision. Avenir has quilted leather seats, a massaging driver seat, a panoramic sunroof, active noise cancellation, and a 30-inch curved dashboard display. Try configuring a RAV4 with those features. You cannot. They do not exist at any price point in the Toyota lineup for that vehicle. And the Envision costs less used than the RAV4 does new. It makes absolutely no sense until you realize that the entire used car market runs on brand perception, not engineering reality. When you are shopping for an Envision, check the turbo housing for oil seepage. The 2-liter turbo is reliable, but any forced induction engine will develop seal issues if oil changes were neglected. Test the 9-speed in city traffic between 2nd and 3rd gear. If it hunts or feels jerky, there is a free software update dealers can perform under warranty. GM used a pad compound on early 2021 models that some owners reported as squeaky in cold weather. Not a safety concern, about $280 to replace if it annoys you. And on Avenir trims, run your finger across the entire dashboard display, checking for dead zones or unresponsive sections. Most are flawless, but a replacement runs about $600 if one is not. Who should skip the Envision? If you need 3 rows, it only has 2. Look at the CX-9 I already mentioned, or the Buick Enclave. If you want a sporty driving experience, the Envision prioritizes comfort and quiet over cornering. It rides like a luxury vehicle, not a sports car. And if you genuinely care about what your neighbors think when you pull into the driveway, I understand. The Buick badge carries assumptions that are about 15 years out of date, but they still exist. Every person who looks past those assumptions right now is getting the deal of the decade. Everyone else is paying a Toyota tax for the privilege of driving something more familiar. Here is my final take. In 22 years of doing this, I have never seen a vehicle with a perfect reliability score depreciate this aggressively. That gap between the data and the market price is the single largest opportunity in the used SUV market today. $18 a day in financing on a 4-year loan gets you a vehicle that costs $318 a year to maintain, visits the mechanic once every 5 years for something unexpected, and came from the factory with features that luxury brands charge double for. The only reason this SUV is cheap is because it says Buick on the hood, and every mechanic I know is quietly thankful for that. So there it is. 3 SUVs the market forgot, but the repair data did not. A Mazda CX-9 that ranks first in its class for reliability and drives like nothing else with 3 rows. A Honda Passport hiding the same legendary V6 engine as the Pilot at thousands less because nobody remembers it is there. And a Buick Envision with a perfect reliability score, maintenance costs that make Toyota look expensive, and a used price so low it should probably be illegal. You now know 3 SUVs you can buy for under $22,000 that will outlast vehicles costing double on a dealer lot. Next time a salesperson pushes you toward the latest RAV4 and tells you reliability costs money, you will know exactly what to say. If you want to see which SUVs have actually proven themselves over 300,000 miles in the shop, the ones that flat out refuse to die, I covered that in a full video. It is right here. 22 years of evidence from someone who has no reason to lie to you. Like this, if it helped. Subscribe for more car advice that dealerships will not give you. Drive safe. Take care of your car, and it will take care of you. Take it or leave it. I will see you in the next one.